Bun găsit, stimați telespectatori! În această zi vom avea parte de o actualizare a situației din Orientul Mijlociu. Cei drept, nu chiar de ultimă oră, dar suficient de edificatoare, realizată de către Amir Sarfati, un evreu mesianic, președinte al organizației Behold Israel, o mai veche cunoștință de-a noastră. Domnia sa a fost de câteva ori în România, a fost și în zona Clujului, l-am însoțit în câteva biserici în care a susținut anumite conferințe, a promis să vină și la să-l cunosc pe el. Din motive obiective lucrul acesta nu s-a realizat și am convenit să ne întâlnim ulterior. Acest fapt pe plan fizic nu s-a petrecut, nu s-a realizat, dar poate unii își amintesc că am preluat un talk show al domniei sale privitor la răpirea pretribulaționistă. De data aceasta vom avea un material, după cum am spus, privitor la situația din Orientul apropiat și acesta va dura cam 44 de minute, de ce am permit să fac o mică introducere, o scurtă introducere în timpul disponibil pe care îl avem până la 50 și ceva de minute. Voi folosi pentru argumentarea importanței de a ne referi la Israel în oricare perioadă a vieții noastre și oricât de tensionate ar fi alte situații, poate mai aproape de noi, folosind două surse, respectiv două cărți, o carte în limba franceză, o carte original în limba germană. Mai întâi, un foarte scurt citat vom da din lucrarea Le Grand Retour au pays de la Bible, Marea întoarcere în țara Bibliei, de Pierre d'Espagne, 1984, tradusă în limba română de editura Agape în 1995. Subtitlul Marea întoarcere în țara Sfântă. Capitolul Introducere, pagina 9, începe prin a menționa 3 versete din Biblie, care le puteți vedea și pe ecran, din Zaharia 8, 6, 7 și 8, pe care le vom lectura și apoi doar 3 fraze cu privire la situația și la problematica, să zic așa, Israel. Așa vorbește Domnul armatelor. Dacă lucrul va părea uimitor în ochii rămășiței acestui popor în zilele acelea, oare va fi la fel de uimitor și în ochii mei? Zice Domnul armatelor. Așa vorbește Domnul armatelor, în varianta Cornilescu, Domnul oștirilor. Iată, îmi izbăvesc poporul din țara de la răsărit și din cea de la apus. Îi voi readuce înapoi și ei vor locui în mijlocul Ierusalimului, ei vor fi poporul meu și eu voi fi Dumnezeul lor cu adevăr și dreptate. Încheiat citatul biblic. Israel, poporul Bibliei, o națiune care reînvie în mijlocul națiunilor. Israel sau Israel, țara Bibliei, un deșert care reînflorește în centrul lumii. Iată, într-adevăr, dublu miracol care se înfăptuiește odată cu marea întoarcere în acest secol 20, provocând totodată uimirea și spaima planetei noastre, zguduite de atâtea tulburări legate de Israel. Generația noastră asistă la cea mai mare trezire din istorie, în fața căreia pălesc toate celelalte treziri, fie ele politice, ideologice, culturale, căci niciuna nu va avea o continuitate atât de durabilă pentru popoarele de pe pământ ca cea de care urmează să ne ocupăm, ne spune autorul de-a lungul acestor pagini. Să ascultăm de cuvântul Domnului și să-l vestim pretutindeni, astfel ca să facem de cunoscut lumii ceea ce face Dumnezeu în favoarea lui Israel, poporul său, în această epocă a Harului care înaintează rapid spre final. Aceasta, ne spune Pierre d'Espagne, este responsabilitatea noastră. Și închei citatul din această cărticică, luând o altă lucrare, în original, Der Judenstaat von Weltergernis zum Weltbedürfnis, statul evreu de la supărare mondială la necesitate mondială, de Norbert Litt. Și am folosit și denumirea în original pentru că în limba română, la editura Strigătul de la miezul nopții în 2007, titlul s-a tradus Statul evreu de la problemă la necesitate mondială. Ori foarte interesant că în limba germană este de la supărare sau necaz mondial la oportunitate, la necesitate mondială. Ei bine, la pagina 7 și 8 vom da câteva accente pe care autorul Norbert Litt le subliniază legat de Israel. Citat: într-o vreme în care presiunea mondială asupra statului evreu crește, doresc să vă atrag atenția asupra adevărurilor biblice legate de statutul deosebit al acestui popor. Statul Israel, care astăzi încă reprezintă o problemă mondială, o supărare mondială în original, va fi în timp o binecuvântare pentru întreg pământul. Acest lucru a fost hotărât din veșnicii, deoarece atât prima cât și a doua venire a lui Isus sunt strâns legate de prezența poporului evreu în Israel. Din acest motiv, problema numită Israel nu este în primul rând una politică, ci una spirituală. Nu este o luptă între palestinieni și israelieni, ci între Coran și Biblie. În cele din urmă, existența statului și poporului evreu vor decide cine este Dumnezeul adevărat și, în consecință, vor confirma valabilitatea Sfintelor Scripturi. Din această cauză, evreii sunt angrenați automat în lupta spirituală dintre lumină și întuneric. Dușmanul lui Dumnezeu face totul pentru a nimici Israelul și pentru a împiedica revenirea lui Isus. Avem într-adevăr de a face cu o luptă între cer și iad. Și ni se spune în continuare că tocmai când scria aceste lucruri a primit o invitație de la o biserică să participe la condamnarea, la așezarea pe banca acuzaților a Israelului și nu a palestinienilor și spune el: nu este oare o tragedie faptul că tocmai bisericile își deschid ușile pentru a înlesni promovarea unei asemenea propagande antisemite? Israelul este acum o problemă de prim plan pentru lumea în care trăim și asta pentru că în viitor, prin Iisus Hristos, statul evreu va deveni o necesitate mondială. Israelul are un viitor măreț care este legat exclusiv de Mesia. Destinul întregii lumi va fi decis în funcție de modalitatea în care fiecare națiune se va raporta la poporul lui Dumnezeu, așa că nu e de mirare că iadul se agită atât de mult. Această carte, ne spune autorul, intenționează să arate că Biblia este cea care va triumfa și că Iisus va reveni pentru a domni de la Ierusalim peste lumea întreagă. Acestea au fost două citate care și-au propus să scoată în evidență importanța tematicii Israel, a aflării noutăților legate de Israel și mai ales, ceea ce vă recomand înainte de a viziona videoclipul, mesajul despre care amintisem la început, în ce ne privește pe noi, trebuie să ne rugăm pentru pacea Israelului. În Psalmul 122, versetul 6 spune să ne rugăm pentru pacea Israelului. Așa să fie, vizionare edificatoare și motivatoare. Shalom!
Shalom and good evening, everyone. I'm Amir Tsarfati, and shalom from Galilee, from Israel, the Jezreel Valley, right over there. It was not a quiet afternoon here. In fact, we just had a heavy barrage of almost 100 rockets in northern Israel. It fell in quite a few places. Thankfully, no severe injuries. But if you're asking yourself why, it's because today they mark the Martyrs' Day, the Shaheeds' Day, and they've added quite a lot of martyrs for them over the last year, and so they needed to make it known to the world. But before we dive into this super important update, let's start with a prayer. Father, I thank you so much for being in control. This is a crazy world, and you know everything. Men without you are lost, and men without you are violent, angry, and evil. And we see that. We see the results thereof. And Father, we ask now that you will allow us yet to look into world's event and to glean hope and encouragement from your promises and your word, and also give us clarity and understanding of the times and the seasons in which we live. I pray for my team in the control room, for Shira and Nadav, and for Bar for working behind the scenes and making sure that everything will go smoothly. I pray, Father, that no alarm of incoming rockets will take place during this broadcast. And I pray also for all technical aspect of this particular update to be completely unhindered. Thank you, and we bless you in Yeshua's name. Amen. So shalom everyone. Again, I'm Amir Tsarfati. This is a live Mideast update from Connect from Galilee. As I mentioned, not long ago, a heavy barrage hit not far from here. And in fact, let me give you a disclaimer that if there is going to be another barrage and we will have the alarm going off here, I'm going to have to immediately, I have 60 seconds, all of us have 60 seconds to run to a bomb shelter. And so we will put a slide on the screen that says that I'm gone for a short time, and we'll be back as soon as possible. So don't go anywhere. Just pray that we are safe. And then I promise to come back and to complete the update. This is our life right now. And we have to do the same thing when we go to church, when we go to synagogues, when people go to movie theaters. This is how everything starts, with an announcement that in case of an incoming rocket alarm, please make sure that you have 60 seconds to find shelter. So now, as I speak, F-16s are now taking off on their way to the north. But I will start this update with the south. And by the way, today we're going to talk about Gaza, we're going to talk about Lebanon, we're going to talk about Syria, we're going to talk about Iraq and Yemen, we're going to talk about what's going on in Europe, suicidal Europe. We're going to talk about the 70 days that we have from today until the inauguration of President Trump in D.C., and we will talk about Trump 2.0. The new administration, who's in and who's for sure not in, and how this whole thing plays into not only Israel, but also into Bible prophecy, which is, of course, the most important thing. What does the Bible say about all of these events? So again, let's start with Gaza. Remember, this whole thing started in Gaza. Remember, over a year and 1 month, 13 months ago, it was there that everything started. Hamas jumped the gun and committed atrocities unspoken. Israel is now in its 13th month of war with Hamas. And the only, listen to me, the only reason why it takes that long is the U.S. administration that is insisting on prolonging the war by ways of us not doing certain measures and providing more and more humanitarian aid to people who are not hungry. Trust me, Nutella is not for hungry people, and cigarettes are not to be given to people in times of war that wants to kill you. But never mind. What I want to tell you is that let's go now to Gaza. I want to show you the map. Remember, I told you last time that there are new developments in Gaza. So take a look at all the purple areas where Israel is right now operating within Gaza. 30% of the Gaza Strip is totally in control of Israel. We're operating in that area. We are there to stay. And now let me take you to the actual area where most of the events are taking place in the last few weeks. Let's dive into northern Gaza, and we're going to keep it right there. And let me show you this, folks. Israel has encircled the area known as Jabalia. If we actually move more with the map, it will appear on the map. If we play the map, you're going to see Jabalia. Jabalia, you see right there. We can stop it here. Jabalia is the strongest and the hardest stronghold of Hamas. And what we did, we came from the north, we came from the east and the west, and now we created another new corridor from west to east, and we are now surrounding Jabalia from all sides, and we eliminated in the last 3 weeks 1,000 terrorists, and we captured another 1,000 terrorists, and we caused tens of thousands of civilians to move out of ways of harm down towards the light blue area, but all the way down to the humanitarian zone. And the reason why I showed you that is because you have to understand, folks, Israel could have already finished this job long ago. But the U.S. administration is pressing us for more and more humanitarian aid. By the way, this is not hunger. The real hungry places around the world are being neglected because of this fake hunger and this fake crisis. The real people that need help, the real refugees that need help, the real places with genocide are being totally ignored by the world because all eyes are on Gaza, this fake nation with the fake crisis and the fake hunger. Everybody knows. I have tons of videos that I can show you. And on Twitter, you can see there is an account of a woman called Imshin also. She can show you all of that. Now, what are we doing there? We are still destroying targets in northern Gaza. We are operating strong and forcefully. And in the last 24 hours, we even eliminated the head of the operations of the Islamic Jihad terrorist organization in Gaza. Muhammad Abu Sakil, was eliminated, and he's gone, and he is now one of those shaheeds, the martyrs, that they mark them today all across the terrorist world. So that's as far as Gaza is concerned. As you can clearly see, if I show you once again the full map of Gaza. Let's stay there, the full map of Gaza. Take a look at the purple in the very, very end next to Egypt. Israel blocks all weapons coming from Egypt. Take a look at the purple in the up above the center. Israel is making sure nobody from the south goes to the north, and everybody from the north can go to the south only by ways of going through the verification process. And Israel is controlling the very northernmost part of the Gaza Strip. Eventually, if you ask me, all of northern Gaza Strip, the very tip of that map, is going to be controlled by Israel for many, many years. I believe that we are creating a place where we can verify who is there and that he's not a terrorist. Terrorists will be captured or killed if they fight. But then Israel will may in the future allow people to come back to the Gaza City area only after having been verified that they're not terrorists. So we're making sure that there is a parameter all around Gaza that is clear. We're making sure the terrorists are either captured or killed, and we're making sure that only in the future people will move back to the city of Gaza if they are not members of the terrorist organization Hamas or others. That's as far as Gaza is concerned. There are 4 objectives for the operation in Gaza. One is to eliminate Hamas military capability, and that's the only objective that has already been reached. The other one is to take from Hamas the governmental power. We're not there yet because we are not distributing the humanitarian aid. They do, so they are still in power, but that's soon going to end. Third is to bring the hostages back. Unfortunately, if we're not controlling the government, we're not convincing them that we have the power. So they're not bringing the hostages back. And fourth is bringing back all of the settlements, all of the residents of southern Israel next to Gaza back to their homes. That hasn't happened yet fully. So all of that is going to happen quickly once Israel assumes control of the civilian population, and we will be the governing power there until something else happens. And that's when people will have the courage to come forward and to give us our hostages back, when they understand that there's no more Hamas around to avenge and to kill them for doing so. So it has to happen, and it's not happening because this U.S. administration is keeping Hamas in power by ways of giving them humanitarian aid more than they need. We have dozens of trucks stuck there because there is no way they can have so much. Unbelievable. I'm not even sure if maybe they want Hamas in power. I'm not sure what's going on there, but this is it, folks. And we have to play it very, very carefully because this administration still has 70 days to make our life miserable. And when it comes to Gaza, we might stoop down a little bit and might, do more things to appease this administration until this evil administration will be gone. Now, it's time to move up to Lebanon and give you an understanding of what's going on there. because we're hitting Hezbollah left and right every day, all over, and it's just embarrassing to see. Look at this. We're destroying Hezbollah compounds under the ground and above the ground everywhere. This is one of them. Take a look at this one. Boom. A whole village is exploding because everything there had tunnels underneath all the houses with ammunition and weapons. Folks, look at this. Here we are. We find them and we destroy them. One after the other. It's the villages. It's the city of Tyre. It's the city of Sidon. It's the city of Nabatea. It's in Baalbek. Take a look at all of Lebanon. I mean, they're everywhere. It's in the... Well, I'll show you the map of Lebanon so you can understand what we have. So this is Lebanon, folks. We're going all the way. That's the southern part of Lebanon. Israel controls right now all of this light blue area. This is the frontline villages where the IDF forces operated. This is the area where we blew up houses, we blew up tunnels, we destroyed things, we killed terrorists, and we confiscated rockets and rifles and explosives everywhere there. This is where we have been operating already. Now, look at this line. This line is where we need to go because there's more villages. This is Hezbollah's second line of villages, which we must make sure is clean from terrorists and from weapons. And of course, there is the Litani River that, according to any international agreement, has to be completely clear all the way to that place. So there's still work to do, and as long as there is no ceasefire and as long as there is no any settlement between us and the Lebanese, we have time to pound them and pound them hard. Take a look at more videos of us, walking in all of their areas and making sure. These are the alpinists that are in the deep ravines and the mountains. We find tons of these things. You see, these are shafts that leads to tunnels, and there's weapons there. Look, cages. Look at this. Tons of weapons everywhere, under the ground, above the ground, inside houses, outside houses. Look, let me explain. Everything was ready. The vehicles were ready. The vests were ready with all of the equipment. The rifles were ready. And they were ready with amount of weapons and ammunition that is 10 times bigger than Hamas. What Hezbollah planned was 10 times bigger than Hamas. It was monstrous. All they waited for, ironically, is a beeper, is a pager that will tell them, go. And that's what they thought they got when the beeper attack took place. They thought this is it. And all of them are now without fingers or eyes or nose or ears or something else. Now, that as far as Hezbollah in Lebanon is concerned, but Hezbollah is not only in Lebanon. Believe it or not, Hezbollah is also spread in other places. Yesterday, if you follow me on Telegram, you knew that Israel attacked in a southern suburb of Damascus in a place called Saida Zainab. And we destroyed an apartment in the third floor of one building, and we killed the top leader of Hezbollah in Syria. He's in charge. With him, Mr. Dakduk. With Mr. Dakduk, we also killed 10 other members of the militia of Iraq, Al-Hashd al-Sha'bi. They came all the way from Iraq to Syria to plot against Israel, actions that will be carried from Syria's territory. So this is Dakduk. One of the, again, he's the leader of Hezbollah in Syria. So Abu Musa al-Dakduk, this is amazing elimination. But it's not the only one that we eliminated in the last few days. Up north in the area of Al-Qusayr, in the border area with Lebanon, we also killed someone else. We killed Salim Ayash, who, by the way, was one of the squad members that assassinated the Lebanese Prime Minister Rafiq Hariri in February of 2005. He was one of the squad members. So the Lebanese should at least thank us. We killed a fugitive from the law. And a few hours ago, Israel also attacked a convoy of trucks loaded with weapons near the city of Homs, also in Syria. In fact, let me show you the map of Syria and the different places we have attacked in the last 3 days. So there you go. That's the map of Syria. In the very south, in Al-Suwaida, we destroyed a radar station. By the way, same place we destroyed a radar station also in 2023, February. In the area of Saida Zainab, which is a suburb of Damascus, we eliminated Musa Dakduk. And up north, in the area of El Qusayr and Homs, we killed one leader and we destroyed a convoy of weapons. Unbelievable. Now, let me explain. Remember I told you that their fake crisis and their fake hunger caused the real people who suffer from hunger and from genocide to not be getting any attention. Let me tell you another damage that these terrorists, these scumbags, caused to the world. That truck that was attacked, this video that you're seeing right now, this one, this convoy, they claim that it's humanitarian aid trucks, okay? Now listen to me, folks. We know it was not because there were so many secondary explosions there that verify that it was indeed weapons in it. But I want you to understand, when they say humanitarian aid, when they say hospital, when they say schools, when they say clinics, when they say all of these things, for you and I, these are places you should never attack. But they know that. And they don't play by the rules. For them, a school is a headquarters for terrorists. For them, a hospital is a hiding place for terrorists. For them, humanitarian aid is not. Ambulances are to transfer terrorists. Humanitarian aid is to transfer rockets. So you have to understand something. They don't play by the rules of engagement in a war. And you cannot expect us to. When we know that there's an ambulance with terrorists, when we know that there's a hospital with terrorists, when we know that the school is not with kids, it's with terrorists, we simply need to attack. Same with mosques, by the way. I would let you, listen, 80% of the mosques in Gaza are destroyed. Why? Because they were not houses of prayer. They were command centers. They had rocket launchers, and they were hiding places as well. So this is what we are dealing with, and that's what happened in Syria over the last few days. Now, a very troubling sequence of events from Yemen and from Iraq over the last few days. Over the last few days, we intercepted drones above the Dead Sea, and they were on their way to Israel's nuclear reactor in Dimona. Yesterday, we intercepted or this morning maybe even, a ballistic missile that was on its way to another site that is related to Israel's nuclear program. And also, there were drones also that were coming in the south and in the north to very strategic locations. It's funny because Iran is sending its mad dogs to attack Israel's nuclear capability while Iran is acquiring nuclear capability. And the day is coming, folks. The day is coming when we're going to deal with that, and it's very, very soon. Trust me, Prime Minister Netanyahu was over the phone with President-elect Trump already 3 times. And I don't think they talked about food or some entertainment. They talked about Iran. They talked about how to deal with Iran, and they talked about how to even sign more peace agreements with other places. But I would now take you to Europe. Over the last decades, the Europeans brought into Europe a lot of radical Muslims, thinking that being in Europe, they will no longer be radical, and they will then assimilate to the more soft European approach. Do you think it worked? Absolutely not. These people that were brought in from the places they ran away from are turning Europe into the very places they ran away from. These guests hate their hosts and everything their hosts represents. And I want to tell you, folks, The fans of the football team of Maccabi Tel Aviv came to the Netherlands, to Amsterdam, for a match with Ajax Amsterdam. It was a wonderful game. We lost, by the way, but it's not the point. The point is that there was no fights between the football fans. What happened? Put the camera on me. Let me explain what happened. If the stadium is here, at the end of the game, all the fans took the train to the city center where their hotels were. So it has nothing to do with the game. And everyone knew that the game is over. And the taxi drivers, the shop owners, and the terrorists themselves all waited for the Israeli fans to come. The taxi drivers got all of their passengers off next to the Arab rioters and lynchers. Same goes with the business owners that refused to give refuge for the Israelis who were attacked. And in every alley, in every street, a group of anything between 3 to 10 people were waiting to lynch Jewish people just because they're Jews. It has nothing to do with what happened in the soccer game. Nothing. It was planned because we found correspondence between the taxi drivers. We found correspondence between the pro-Palestinian organizations. They were planning all of that. It has nothing to do with anything else. And these are some of the people. And by the way, this is the correspondence. You can see. By the way, everything is on my Telegram channel. And the Israeli authorities are telling the Dutch authorities that we're willing to help you because we know exactly who did it. How do we know? Because they posted it on their own social media. Just like Hamas did on October 7th. They posted it on their own social media. And if you think that anybody was arrested that night, you can kiss that thought goodbye. No one was arrested that night. Only later on, some were arrested, most were released. And I can tell you, folks, Israel offered help to the Dutch people, to the Dutch police. And by the way, the police was just useless. They were there, they did not help. And when they started understanding the situation, it was way too late. The whole thing lasted about 5 hours. The person you see on the ground was knocked out and was beaten while he was unconscious. Women were beaten. Children were beaten. It was horrific. Jewish people were back in the attic of houses in Amsterdam as if it's Anne Frank of 1938 and 39. Unbelievable. And it's not only there. 2 days later, in Sweden, it happened on the very annual Memorial Day for the Kristallnacht, the night where the Nazi Germans were rioting against Jews in the streets and broke all the glasses of the Jewish stores. That's why it's called Kristallnacht, the night of the broken glasses. And Jews were attacked in Sweden. Jews were attacked in Antwerp, in Belgium. And if that's not enough, folks, if that's not enough, some Twitter accounts were calling for the French to now do their part because there's another football match in France, in Paris. So take a look. She says, French Moroccans, now it's your turn. They are enjoying it. They're calling for another lynch, let me explain now this, folks. It's Jewish hatred. It's not Israeli hatred. It's not football fan. It has nothing to do with football. They hate us because we're Jews. They needed passports to see. They selected who's going to be beaten and who's not. Depends on which passport he holds. And if you are not an Israeli passport holder and you helped the Israelis, you also got beaten. And I have that British guy on Telegram. Now let me explain that. Make no mistake. Now it's in Britain, and it's in Germany, and it's in France, and it is in Belgium, and it's in the Netherlands, and it's in Sweden. But make no mistake, and you can record me now and then play it later. They start with the Jews, and they will continue with the Christians. They start with the Saturday people, and they will continue with the Sunday people. And the funny thing of all is that November is the Islamophobia Awareness Month in Europe. And how do they celebrate it? By chasing and beating Jews in Europe. That's how they... the irony died. Unbelievable. That's what we have in Europe right now. Europe is coming to soon to what I call civil war in quite a few places. In fact, that's why in the streets of Tel Aviv, we don't do free Palestine. That's what we have in the streets of Tel Aviv, free Europe. Because the Europeans are captured. The Europeans need to be free from this. Unbelievable. And by the way, a lot of Dutch believers wrote me, they said we're ashamed of what we see. Dutch believers offered help, and I was overwhelmed with the amazing support of the Dutch people. But the day after the pogrom, look, again, these scumbags are walking in the streets of Amsterdam trying to hunt for Jewish people. Look at this. Look at these monsters, these animals, how they try to hunt Jewish people everywhere they are, in every place. Unbelievable. And they are being collaborated by the progressive left students that don't even understand what's going on here. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. That's what's going on in Europe right now. And now let's talk about the 70 days from today until the inauguration of President Trump in D.C. A lot of things going to happen, but I'm not going to talk about politics right now. I'm going to talk about Israel. And I'm going to talk about what it means for Israel, because we know that there's already precedent in 2016 when President Trump was elected for the first term, if you remember. It wasn't until January of 2017 that he assumed office. And in December of 2016, Barack Obama pulled the trigger and came against Netanyahu's government because we did not yield to his pressure for Palestinian state. And ladies and gentlemen, he ordered the U.S. ambassador in the UN not to veto an anti-Israeli resolution in the United Nations Security Council. That was a terrible, terrible mistake of someone who was desperate to avenge and revenge and hit back on Israel just because he lost, or just because his party lost the presidency. Now, if you think that the Biden administration is different, kiss that thought goodbye. The Biden administration that gave us an ultimatum that if we're not going to increase the humanitarian aid 5 times of what we have now, they will declare northern Gaza as a place afflicted with hunger, which is not true, but they will, in order for them to justify an anti-Israeli resolution in the United Nations that will be followed by sanctions. Do you hear that? Our best ally wants to impose sanctions on those who fight against terror. That's the humanitarian aid. I mean, they have tons of it. Folks, there's not a single person who's hungry in Gaza. Give me a break. They get Nutella. They get cigarettes. They get stuff like Mentos. Are you kidding me? And that's what I'm trying to say. The real hungry people are being completely neglected because of this fake crisis with fake hunger of a fake nation that the world is trying to push down our throat. And I will also tell you there's a second thing that this administration can do. They already pulled that trick a few weeks ago. They can leak sensitive information. They can always use someone to leak information. They did that about Iran, and thankfully we did what we needed to do. But they can do that. But the third thing, in the middle of a war of existence, in the middle of a 7-front war, they can also withhold weapons from us. And so Israel is now trying to survive these 70 days and appease a brainless administration that did nothing but prolonging the war. And we'll wait until the Trump administration will assume office on January 20th. We can't wait for it to come. You have no idea how much. We wait for it more than ever before because we're in the middle of a war. And our best friend is threatening with leaking information, imposing sanctions, and withholding weapons from us. Unbelievable. Trump 2.0, a new administration, is about to rule in America, and that's a different story. Now, you know that I posted on Telegram. There were rumors, and I know that for a fact, and I'll tell you in a second how. It was more than rumors. On the short list for the Secretary of Defense, I know that Mike Pompeo was there. Now, I know him. He's a Christian. He loves the Lord. He's a good friend of Israel. But I do see why Trump eventually did not take him to be in his administration. First of all, there was a great opposition. Don Jr. said that he's going to take care of it. I have the tweet. And eventually, Pompeo was removed. And which is fine, by the way. I think that President Trump needs to work with people whom he can trust. That's his not only right, it's his duty. Nikki Haley and Mike Pompeo are great friends of Israel, and Pompeo is a brother in the Lord, but I do see why Trump would not want to have them in his administration. With Nikki Haley, we know that he didn't like the fact that she ran against him in the primaries longer than that she should. And she also said a lot of things about him that were more than just not nice. With Pompeo, Trump does not like his stand on Ukraine, and Trump did not like his stand on the classified documents that the FBI was investigating, and Pompeo actually justified that investigation. So I get it. You know, he's a friend of Israel, but let me tell you why I'm saying that. The left in Israel, the progressive cuckoo left, is now trying to scare and intimidate the Israelis that it's not going to be the same honeymoon with Trump because, look, he is now kicking all the pro-Israeli people from his administration. Look, Nikki Haley, and look at Pompeo. That's baloney. See, they try to use these tactics because nothing that they wanted worked. So now they're using if you want to understand how pro-Israel Trump is, look at his the person he's offering the job of UN ambassador, Elise Stefanik, and she is one of the strongest pro-Israeli congresswomen, and she's the one who put to shame the presidents of those Ivy League universities in the hearing in Congress, which led to stepping down of two of them from their role. And I want you to understand the following thing. President Trump may have some separationists, some people who wants America to take care of only America. He even said, I want to end wars, not start wars. But I will tell you something about him. He knows exactly who the good guys and who the bad guys are. Iran is on the bad guys list. Iran that tried to kill him. Folks, the day after he was elected, the Iranian regime posted on Twitter and on their Telegram channels a video where they threaten to finish the job with Trump. And you all know that arrests have been made already, and a plot to kill him a week before the elections has been uncovered. You all know that. Trump knows. And trust me, that I wish I could be a fly on the wall listening to the conversation between him and Netanyahu, because Netanyahu was also a target of the Iranians. Remember the drone that hit his residence in Caesarea just a few weeks ago? These two leaders share a lot. They share the persecution from the deep state, they share the persecution from the left, and they share the attempt to kill them by the Iranians. But I will also tell you this, folks. President Trump should be valued not by what he is appointing, who he's appointing, but he has a track record. Look back, and everything he said that he will do, he did when it comes to Israel. He moved the embassy, recognized the Golan Heights as Israeli. He recognized the legitimacy of the Israeli settlements in Judea and Samaria. I mean, and of course, he got out of the Iran nuclear deal and killed Qasem Soleimani, the father of the Iranian plot against Israel. So let me make it very clear. He's the single most pro-Israel president in the history of America. He's surrounded by wonderful people. And one of the tactics of the left in Israel to scare us, they are saying, look at his daughter. You know, his daughter Tiffany married a Lebanese guy, and his father, I think he's called Mas'ad Bulus, the one on the left on this photo. His father is now being appointed by Trump to negotiate between America and Lebanon over the Israeli war with Lebanon. They don't understand. Mas'ad Bulus, the father of Michael Bulus, the husband of Tiffany Trump, they got married a couple of years ago. They don't understand. Bulus is a Christian Lebanese. The Christian Lebanese can't stand Hezbollah. The Christian Lebanese wants peace with Israel. Bulus is from Paulus, from Paul. It's a Christian name. And they don't understand. If there is one thing I know is that the survival of Israel and the superiority of Israel in the Middle East when it comes to power, when it comes to strength, is very important to President Trump. He's been saying that throughout in his entire campaign, and unlike other politicians, he actually means what he says, and he does what he says and promises. So I want to tell you, you're going to hear so many things about him and about his Israel policy. Yes, he may be someone who is against the involvement of America in other places, but it's not that he's going to withhold weapons from Israel. If anything, he will give us everything we need to finish the job quicker. That's what he said. Finish with it because you need to finish with it. And I will only conclude with this. I don't think America is going to destroy the nuclear program of Iran, but I think America of President Trump would be very, very glad to see Israel finishing the job, even there. I'll tell you that I know that this is what the two leaders were talking about. So this is it, folks. 70 days. We need to pray that this administration, the current administration, is not going to cause damage to Israel. And we need to pray for President Trump to stay alive, even for Netanyahu to stay alive. I mean, can you imagine? They want to kill him. They want to murder him. They want to murder Netanyahu as well. And they want to throw at them more allegations and more accusations and more court hearings and more that they cannot, understand that the people want them. I mean, remember the map of the voting in America. It was just 95% red. Are you kidding me? That's the real will of the American people. They are tired that people shove down their throat that a man is not a man and a woman is not a woman and that illegals can actually cross by the millions. They are tired of saying that the good is bad and that the bad is good, that the darkness is light and light is darkness. No. This madness lasted 4 years and the people said enough is enough. Why is it that tax-paying money should pay for sex change operations of people in the U.S. military or of teenagers? Listen, I'm telling you, folks, America has spoken louder than ever against the woke mentality. And I cannot wait for the moment that the president will deport all these elements that are destabilizing America and the Western world. And it's time of reckoning, and the sooner the better. And they're going to try to cause as much damage as they can during these next 70 days. Pray and pray and pray hard because, folks, the danger is not over. Now that they know how strong he is, they want even more to harm him and all of his allies. So let's continue and pray. I want to remind you, folks, all that is going on in the Middle East is very dear to me because this is the way for us to also deliver the message of the gospel, of the hope, the only hope in this world, which is the Messiah. And there's a lot of people that will never, ever go to church or even to a Christian bookstore to study about the connection between current events and the Bible. This is why the Lord spoke to me and to Steve to write thriller books, which include the gospel inside. And I really need your help, folks, as we conclude. Go to thesickmansrage.com and pre-order this book, because the higher the numbers are, the more secular stores will hold them and the more non-believers will approach them. We only reach half of what we need. This is the last month for us before the launch week. Help us by clicking on this QR code right over there. Get this book and give it. This is the best Christmas gift you can give to someone, especially if he's a non-believer. I want to thank you, and let me finish this with the Aaronic blessing. All right. So, יברכך אדוני וישמרך, יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונקה, יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance towards you and give you his shalom, his peace. The peace that surpasses all understanding, that can only come from the Prince of Peace, who is the Lord of Peace, who can give you peace now and forever, here and everywhere. His name is Yeshua, and in his name we pray. Amen. Thank you. Please share this video with as many as you can. Please help me with the book also, if you can. I love you. Shalom and good evening from Galilee, from Israel. Bye-bye.